Go into the time capsule in just a little bit here. This isn't all of it. It got a little windy this morning when we were setting it out, so there are a few more items to put out. We just stopped putting it out at a certain point. But we have some interesting items for the time capsule. If you remember, in April we opened up the time capsule that was planted in 1993? 93. That time capsule, though it did have some interesting things, it was mostly full of papers. Some important papers, newspapers of the day, a lot of newspaper articles about the events that happened in 1993 during the city's Quasquicentennial celebration. But it had like minutes of their meetings, and it had some log books and things like that. So this year when we sent the letter out, asking businesses and asking the Times Press to do a story on it, we asked that maybe people would give us some more interesting items than just a lot of paper items. And people came through. We've been collecting these items for the last month up at the chamber office, and I won't go through the whole list of what we got, because we did get a lot of newspapers, we got a lot of T-shirts, we got a lot of promotional items from all the different businesses in town, which doesn't seem that exciting now, but in 25 years when we're celebrating our quarter-centennial, that doesn't roll off the tongue really well yet. But when we are celebrating that, some of these businesses may not be here. Some of the items that they sell or make or promote may be obsolete. So I think it's interesting we've got a lot of those kind of items. Both the Streator High School and the Woodland High School gave us a Chrome notebook, which is an electronic notebook for the kids to use. I can almost guarantee in 25 years they'll be looking at that and wondering, okay, now what did they use this for?
I know what you're talking about.
Possibly because they won't know how to turn it on or have a charger to fire it up to see what's in it. We have a 1968 centennial newspaper. The whole paper is intact. We have a couple of those copies of that at the Historical Society. But in 25 years, that newspaper will be 75 years old. So I think they will find that interesting. I don't know how many copies will be available in 2043. Woodland High School gave us a 2018 yearbook and one of their basketball jerseys. As I mentioned earlier, the Streator Post Office gave us the original cancellation that was made out of the contest of the two entries, of both of those entries by Clayton Seibert and Maddie Phillips. Both of those entries will be put into the time capsule. We got an ornament, a handmade ornament from Streator Unlimited. And one of the employees at Streator Unlimited wrote a little note and rolled it up and stuffed it inside the ornament. And I, for one, am really curious as to what that says. But I'll have to wait 25 years to find out. I hope I'm still around. The class of 1993, which was 25 years ago during our Quasquicentennial, had their class reunion, and all the students signed a class of 93 t-shirt. So we have a t-shirt signed by them and put in the time capsule. I can't do this with one hand, or it will blow away again. We have a lot of things here. We have jewelry, we have insurance cards, we have a lot of business cards. We have a rotary desk phone donated by my Uncle Maury Henderson. They are very rare already. I think a rotary phone in 2043 will definitely be a museum piece by then. Pluto Fest gave us a nice sampling of things. They gave us a mug, one of their pint glasses, and a balsa wood airplane. Wall Dogs was very generous. Thank you, Wall Dogs Committee. We got some t-shirts, some booklets, an ID tag that the artist wore, a special sesquicentennial coin that they had made, and a laminated poster of the mural that's on the side of the Wells Fargo building over there. It's got Dr. Worthy Streator and Colonel Ralph Plum, Streator's two most notable founders. So we have that original piece of artwork going in as well. One of the most interesting items going in, if you look here, you see a pair of work boots. Be to your left of the Federal Bakery box there, to my right. Those work boots were found inside of a wall at OSF Medical Center. That hospital, St. Mary's Hospital, was built in 1963 and partially built in 1964 when it was finished. And some worker that built that hospital in 1963 took his boots off, put them inside a wall, and they were inside a plastered wall. They were discovered this summer as they were doing some demolition work for the remodeling. So those boots are going in the time capsule, and there's a laminated note explaining that going in with them. It would take me a long time to go through the whole list, but I thought those were some of the more notable things. Big thank you to all the citizens who donated things, to the businesses who donated promotional items and promotional things about their business. Like I said, there's no guarantee those businesses will be here in 25 years. Now in 1993, when they planted the time capsule, they buried it over here by the, up in the corner of the park up here, the northwest corner. And they buried it in a burial vault, and it was put 6 feet down. It was not easy to get out. Nobody could get to it, that's for sure, but we decided this year we're not going to do that. What we're going to do this year is we're going to put it in this antique 1908 Federal Bakery box that we got from the Streator Historical Society. All the items are going to go into this box. The box is going to be locked up, and the lock is, or the key to that lock is going to be stored at City Hall. The box will stay in the basement of the Streator Historical Society for 25 years. We're hoping maybe the paper won't smell and be as musty as the stuff we got out of the ground in April. So that's, we do have a few other things that didn't get put out, but this is the bulk of it. If you didn't get a chance to walk up and look at this stuff, please do before you leave today, because we're going to put it in that box. It'll be locked up, and that'll be the last anyone sees of it for the next 25 years. Now, the next thing on my list is the benediction. But before I hand this back over to Pastor Caleb, I do have a few more thank yous I would like to give. And I know you can't thank everybody. So many people contributed to the success of the sesquicentennial summer. But there were some people that went above and beyond. And it's hard to draw the line of who to acknowledge and who not to. But these people on this list, I feel I would be remiss if I did not mention them. First and foremost was the city of Streator. The Parks Department, Public Works, we kept them busy all summer, moving barricades, putting up banners all over town, doing whatever we asked. And I know they have their regular work to do on a regular basis, and then we kept calling and bugging, we need this done, we need that done. So thank you. I would also like to thank Brett Bumrocker. He helped us in April with the sound system. At the kickoff celebration, he's helping us here today. So Brett, thank you. We appreciate it. And we appreciate everything else you do for the city, because you do a lot that people don't know about. I won't go into detail on every one of these or what they did. The Streator Lions Club, they've helped out. Designs and Signs by Anderson. I know it's a business, and we threw a lot of business at them this summer, making these banners and other things. But they did a lot of stuff pro bono for us. They also pushed us ahead in the schedule of getting things printed on a timely basis. Again, they went above and beyond. I can't say enough about the Streeterland Historical Society. I feel a little guilty saying that, being the president of the Historical Society. But the board members, they worked hard all summer, and they've been very generous to the different organizations when they needed to borrow things. So thank you to those board members and the society as a whole. I want to thank the Silver Fox. They came through for us a couple of times, especially for our kickoff celebration at the last minute. They opened up their building for us so we could have our program there. Thank you. I've got Schultz Monument written down here, but it should say the Schultz family. The entire family is here. Please acknowledge them. They have done a lot for the celebration. They've done a lot for the city as a whole. And again, I can't list everything they've done, but they are always there for us. The Riverview Cemetery, thank you. And I especially want to thank Sue Yannick. I don't know what her title is, executive secretary, office manager, really the boss of the Chamber of Commerce. But Sue has really stepped it up for us this year because we threw a lot of things at her. Streator Tourism, I thanked them already, but you can't thank them enough. They paid for a lot of flyers, they paid for ads, they promoted the heck out of a lot of different events all summer long. John Ketman, is John here today? John Ketman he doesn't live in Streator, Illinois anymore. He lives in LaSalle. He's from Streator, grew up here. But he's very much into ancestry and local history. A few years ago, he contacted me and asked me where Narramore Cemetery was, because he had relatives buried in Narramore Cemetery. I told him, I know the general area. I know it's north of Oakley Avenue and it's west of the Vermilion River, but I've never been to it, and I just know it's up in that general area. Well, he did some investigating, and he found an old abandoned cemetery. It was overgrown. There were about 25 headstones that he could find. The information we had at the Streaterland Historical Society said that there were probably closer to 38 people buried at Narramore Cemetery. But he did get together a committee. They started cleaning up that old cemetery, and they started looking and digging and poking and prodding the ground, and they found a lot of headstones that had fallen over and gotten buried. And he dug them up, and he took a special class, so he was qualified to reset those headstones. He has found over 125 lost graves at Narramore Cemetery. So congratulations to him. I know Narramore is outside the city limits, but most of Streator's early founders, the Bronsons, there's a name most of you know, the Fulweilers, Cogwells, all those early settlers were buried in Narramore Cemetery. So I want to thank John Ketman and the work he has done at Narramore over the last 5 years. Yesterday we had a cemetery, Streator's History Walk at Riverview, and we sent as many people from there out to Narramore, and John gave tours out there yesterday at Narramore. And so a lot of people got to see the graves of their ancestors for the first time. And that's what Sesquicentennial, and that's what historic celebrations should be all about. Not just celebrating history, but discovering history and making history. So I needed to acknowledge John and all the work he's done. Today, I'd like to thank Jody Bednar and Christine Smoot. They came here early today and they helped us set this up this morning. They didn't have to, they volunteered their time. Thank you very much for that, we appreciate it. And I know I've left some people out. Like I said, you can't thank everybody. We do appreciate everything everyone has done. But there is one last name I want to thank. It's someone who has been around all summer long. He's been at almost every event that Streator has had all summer, and that's our videographer and photographer, Alan Culver here. Thank you, Alan. You have been everywhere. I don't know how you've done it, but he has preserved a lot of memories of this summer with his camera. Thank you very much. And with that, I want to say thank you to you for coming out here today. It's a hot day. The sun's beating down. I appreciate you staying for this. We have a book on the corner of the table here. It's a book that we're going to put into the time capsule. We want everybody, if you have not signed that book, sometime during the summer, we've added it as many events as we could. We want to get as many names in that book and in that time capsule as possible. So if you haven't signed it yet this summer, come up, put your name in that book so you'll be part of Streator's history and you'll be in the time capsule. Also, Jamie Game is standing back here. She's got a box in her hand. It has some buttons. They're special sesquicentennial buttons. The only people who get these buttons are the people who showed up here today, because we just picked them up over this weekend. So if you have not gotten one of these special sesquicentennial buttons, grab one. She's walking around. Make sure you see her. Raise your hand, Jamie, so everybody can see where you're at. Grab her before you leave and get one of the buttons. Again, thank you. And now I'd like to turn this back over to the pastor of Park Presbyterian Church, Caleb Sedan.